Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the meeting of the Carver Conservation Commission for Wednesday, March 1st, 2023. We will follow the agenda this evening, and our first order of business is under discussion/business, and it's the Massachusetts Trails Grant funding. Ms. Hewins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just going to hand out a couple of things for you guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, before we get started, can I make a suggestion?
Yes?
When we start getting these kinds of handouts, I think it'd be nice if we could put some of these as an attachment to the minutes. When we
I
go
agree.
back, once upon a time, when we go back and look at minutes from 2 years ago, we start to see some of the documentation still attached.
I agree.
I think they're coming down.
Yeah, that's what we do in other
That's
committees.
it.
He has two there. Yeah, I can see.
So,
I don't think so. That's it. You got more of these? I think we're still short?
Oh, we're good.
all right.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. My name's Sarah Hewins, and I'm here as the chair of the Carver Trail and Conservation Stewards Committee. Just recently, on January 30th, actually, I applied for a grant, a Mass Trails grant, for equipment so that we could help these trails. We've been doing it sort of on our own with our own equipment for quite a while, and we realized that we need some upgraded equipment and just quite a few things. So Dan Badger, who's also on this committee with me, and as is Savory, Dan came up with a list of equipment that he thought we would need. And then I started to apply for the grant, and I realized that we had a lot of equipment, and they wanted us to buy metal, iron and steel that was only American made. So Dan and I started chopping the list down, and we took out this and we took out that, and we got it down to $2,000 and change. I did run the question by our finance director, Sue Moken, whether or not it would be legal for us to use the Conservation Commission's Wetlands Protection Fund to pay for these things. She said, yes, it was. Even there are wetlands on all those properties, the conservation properties. These would be for the trails on the 3 conservation properties that currently have trails, but also on hopefully putting new trails into some of the properties that is in your care and custody that don't currently have trails. So I was very proud of myself. I had it down to about $2,000, and all you guys would have had to come up with was about $700. So I filled out the entire, I only have one copy of this application, but if you want to just, you guys can flip through it. It's a long application. I got down to the budget, which is the first handout that I gave you, and I clicked to submit the application, and it wouldn't let me submit. And on the final bottom line, it kept popping up, 5,000, 5,000. So I called up Ms. Lewis, Amanda Lewis, and that email chain that you have there is Amanda and I going back and forth about this. We talked on the phone mostly about the money. She said, well, you're not asking for enough money. We don't give a grant for less than $5,000. And I said, my actual words were, are you kidding me? You want me to ask for more money? Yes, I do, she said. So I said, okay, that I will be no problem.
You said, let's go shopping.
Right, well,
Absolutely.
so I put back in all the things that Dan and I had taken out. And if you look at the bottom of the budget list there, so the total grant request, I just pushed it over 5,321. And the grant can be up to 80% of the total project. So Mr. Flaherty had contacted me and asked me, since originally I'd come to you saying 700, now it's 1,330 that we'd be asking for you to give us. I thought it was just best for me to be here. The only problem with this grant is it's a reimbursable grant, so the Wetlands Protection Fee Fund would have to put out the whole $6,651 up front. But, excuse me, if we got the grant, that would all be reimbursed. So the only thing that the fund would end up paying is the $1,330. And again, I don't know if we'll get the grant. Hopefully we will. We'll see. It's always worth trying. So there you have it. And everything's itemized. This is exactly what I submitted to them. And if you have a question about why we need this piece of equipment, ask Dan. The big one was the Alaska mill, a chainsaw called an Alaska mill, which we need to mill some of the logs out there. The problem is, in order to run the mill, you need an engine displacement of at least 79 cc, and the only one I could find was all the steel chainsaws are made in America, except this one,
Oh, okay.
of course. So,
Actually, mine's made in Germany too, so.
so I talked to her about that as well, and she said, well, just put that in the email. She said, how much is it? I said, it's 1,500 and change, I forget what it is. Yeah, 1536. She said, I don't think it's gonna be a problem, if you can't find it, it's American made. It's the only company that makes anything even close to 80 cc. Dan had said it really should be 80. He said he thinks we'll be okay with 79. I learned a lot about chainsaws.
In the end, we'll be able to procure one that's American assembled.
I would have thought you'd want to do like an axe.
Oh, no, that's in there.
It's in here. It's in here.
And a handsaw, I mean, you would.
That's in there too.
This couldn't come at a better time, because we just have clarified and located the maintenance account, which was really under the Wetlands Protection. I think you helped with that also. That's how we located it. It has now officially been changed to the Carver Maintenance Wetlands Protection, so we can, conservation maintenance, so we can find it in the trial balances. We've also done the same thing with the land acquisition fund. That just simply said land acquisition.
Yeah.
So I had to get a printout of that to find the purchase on Lakeview Street to know that that's what that was, and that's been changed to the conservation land acquisition.
That's conservation in there, yeah.
So the word conservation had to be in there so we can find it. So I believe at the present time, for the commission's knowledge, there's about $54,000 in that account at the moment. So obviously, I have no problem in supporting the overall cost of the project. And if we get the reimbursement from the grant, then that will go back into that trust. If we don't, then it's still exactly what the maintenance account is set up for. This is the reason why we've set this account up, was to create and maintain. So I think this is a great idea. Maybe not the hatchet.
Two of them.
I saw that.
Anyone have any questions on this? The one question I have is, assuming that we approve this money, the expenditure of the 6651, would all of this be procured almost immediately?
It would depend on what the Trail and Conservation Stewards Committee would say. We're meeting March 22nd. It could be procured piecemeal. I mean, there's certain things we wouldn't be doing right now. We'd wait till summer. So, and for these, for the price of this material don't actually have to be procured in the official sense. I talked to the Prime Administrator about that because of the low cost.
Right.
So
There's no bid.
Best business practice. Yeah,
Yeah.
no bid.
I was more thinking about getting, not so much buying them piecemeal, but getting the reimbursement piecemeal, and that creating more work,
Right.
you know.
I'll buy them all at once then.
Yeah, I think that that's probably an easier way to do it. That way, the reimbursement comes in as the lump sum that's right here, and we don't have to keep
That
wondering,
makes
you know,
sense.
if there are things that are still outstanding.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that I would think about.
So you
Makes it
want-
easier for finance.
Well, it does, and I don't have any issue with this at all, either on this commission or as the chair of the finance committee. I think this is a great idea.
So do
You want a
I.
motion?
No one else has any comments? Then I'll,
I'll make a motion that we approve the Mass Trails Grant Application Budget Worksheet in its entirety of $6,651.42, with the potential reimbursement of $53.21 in match, in 80% grant. But the caveat is if that grant should fail, then the maintenance account will pick up the entire $66.51, so in any case, it will all be funded.
okay. Very good. A second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the full amount of the grant with or without the grant reimbursement. All those in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
Abstain?
I think that,
He has to.
and so do I, because I'm on the same committee.
Okay, so
All right, so it's
still passes
three yes,
3-0,
0 no's, 2
2
abstentions. All right, so you're all set.
Thank you guys very much.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for your hard work on this,
Spiritually unanimous.
Sarah especially, and thank you guys. I have a slight connection at Norfolk, and I can try to get a number on that chainsaw.
Great. Just for public knowledge, I thought I'd take advantage of the fact that we're on TV and a lot of this maintenance equipment is for maintenance programs and development. And we, the Carver Trail Conservation Stewards, will be hosting a free to the community how to run a trail crew and what's involved with being involved with the Carver Trail Conservation Stewards, and that is on April 1st and April 15th, I believe, from 10 a.m. to noon. Those are both Saturdays. So,
I also see that you have volunteer T-shirts, so I expect that there'll be some handed out to the Conservation Commission members.
we'll get your sizes.
I take a large.
Absolutely.
Depends on how well you wield the axe.
Oh, sorry. We're going to be focusing our efforts on Savory Avenue both those days.
All right,
Just one more thing.
yes.
When you do look at the grant application, it only talks about the whole property. I sort of made an executive decision to keep it simple.
Yep.
Because
Okay.
all this equipment can be used anywhere,
That's
right.
fine.
and the whole property.
Do you need that grant application back?
No, you can file that with
Okay.
Okay.
the records.
Yeah, I'm sure that, you know what, after Savory Avenue is in a little better place, we'd probably like to go out to Indian Street
Oh, got it.
and start working out there too. Okay, very good, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next up, Zero Purchase Street, COC.
Okay, that was that floating solar experiment they did out in the bog ponds on that property.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and all they wanted to do, DEP asked them to pull a NOI, order of conditions for this, just because it's a new critter. All they did was do some dip water samples and some soil samples right under the few arrays they put out there. They've done the sampling, they're analyzing them, and they pulled those arrays up, so they just want to close out the order of conditions. That's
Okay.
why they filed the COC.
Okay,
It's
Any-
really a simple,
okay.
Motion to approve, SC 126647.
Second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the COC for Zero Purchase Street, SC 126647. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Approved 5-0. Next up is amend the language on the proposed town warrant article involving wetlands bylaw 9.2.1.2. This was the first wetlands thing where we added invasive species to the list of things that we controlled.
right.
And I presented in front of the select board, I didn't present, I was at the select board meeting last Tuesday night to answer any questions they had as they went over this. And Ms. Hewens rightfully pointed out that the language of that bylaw made it look like we were promoting invasive species. So I changed the language to...
We weren't?
No, we weren't. So I changed the language slightly in to say the prevention of invasive species. I changed it in the list of things in the bylaw, and I also changed it in the executive summary. So with everyone's permission, I will resubmit that to the town administrator with the better language.
That's fine.
Okay? All right.
Also, for anybody that comes back up, I'm told that your microphone was not on, so the audience on TV couldn't hear it. Is that true? Sarah's got to come back up and do the whole thing all over again.
Okay. Minutes we will get to later.
Yeah. Put those at the end.
Yep. Continued public hearings. Zero Wade Street is continued once again. I'll give you a brief update on this. This is property that the redevelopment authority would like to gift to the Conservation Commission. It's at the end of Wade Street. It's about a 6-acre parcel, very nice parcel. We are the abutter to this property has built structures on property that isn't his.
Awesome.
That belongs to the RDA. We are meeting with the property owner on Friday to go over options. There aren't many.
Leave them or move them.
Right.
That's about it.
Yeah. I mean, either, move it or...
We get them both, or he takes them away. It's pretty
Right.
basic.
Yeah. So as soon as that discussion takes place on Friday, we'll have a better idea from the RDA as to when we'll be able to bring this back to conservation for our discussion and hopefully approval. So that's where we are with that. Okay, next up, 4 Stanley Lane. It's a continued public hearing. I don't have to read everything.
Make sure that your mic is on when you sit down, would you?
Does that one work?
Is that working?
Yep, I hear you. I hear you.
Is it loud enough for the TV audience?
Okay.
What's that?
Yep.
All right, Greg Ray from Outback Engineering, representing CE Development. We have, after the last meeting, we had some suggestions from the commission that they'd like to see changed on the plans. So we've provided the revised plan, and I'll just go over the changes we made. First, we moved the pool over so that it lines up with the west side of the building and the sun porch. That put most of the pool outside the 100-foot buffer.
Oh, nice.
Only grading and the walkway are inside the 100. We changed the tree line over here to reduce the amount of disturbance in the buffer. It was on the 65, now it's back out on the 100 up to this point. And then on the steep slopes in the back, we proposed a New England restoration native plant mix with forests grasses native with erosion control blanket to cover that whole banking in the back. This stuff was formulated by New England Wetland Plants, and it's for steep slopes for quick germination to stabilize slopes. So, and that's pretty much answer any questions you may have.
All right.
I appreciate it. I think it looks great.
I was going to say the same thing. You listened to what we asked for, and you did what we asked for. I'm pleased with the results that we have here. I think it takes care of a lot of the issues that we had, and it doesn't impact the homeowner to any great degree. They have a little bit less lawn, perhaps, but other than that, the pool's the same size, the patio's the same size, and it's still hidden from the street.
That's right.
So I think that it's probably a win-win for everyone.
The only thing I'd like to see is maybe 3 wetland signs down at the 65 tree line,
Yeah, we can put them there. That's on the top of the hill, but we can put them there.
you know? They can even be stuck to a tree. I don't care if they're on a post, but.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
so
right
there's-
right at the 65,
Yeah,
behind the
right.
pool.
Well, that's where that whole tree line is
Yep.
right at the 65.
Yep.
So maybe 1, 2, 3, just,
He's got 3 proposed on the,
Maybe they didn't.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
okay.
Okay,
Oh, great.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Typical
conservation
tree.
signs, gotcha.
I have a comment. After looking at this, if this was a flat backyard, moving the pool wouldn't be an issue, but there's going to be a significant amount of soil being removed between the 100 and the 65-foot buffers on there. And that's a lot. If you draw a rectangle straight back from the house, it's about a 60 by 30-foot rectangle, and you're going to be removing at least 5 or 6 feet of soil back there, right? That adds up to be about 300 cubic yards of soil to be moved out of the 100-foot buffer, right? Is that correct? I mean, that's a lot of soil. That seems like a significant impact to the wetlands, if you ask me. I mean, I did that because we've got these the old contours underneath there, and you can just calculate it out, and that's a conservative calculation on my part. I'm not an engineer, but I mean, it's just doing the math. It was, it comes out to be a lot of soil you're going to be moving out of the 100-foot buffer. Have you done any numbers on that yet or anything?
I didn't even get any detailed
Yeah.
numbers on that.
And like I said, it was a flat backyard. This wouldn't be a big deal. But I think because you're removing a lot of material out of that area there, I think it's kind of a big
A
deal.
lot of it's a big, steep.
Yeah, it's
hump
huge,
in
it's
the
really
back.
steep. I mean, it's more than 6 feet probably because it's over my head when I was there. I mean, just looking
Yeah.
at it. Yeah, so,
So,
I don't know. I don't know what you guys think, but I think it's a lot.
If he stabilizes the hill,
Yeah, but it's still a huge disturbance within that area. It wouldn't.
But that's
you're gonna-
only in
you're
the
gonna
100.
build- That's almost like putting a foundation in there.
it's not in the 65.
No, it's not. You're right.
So,
Just-
this is not something that's unusual. And again, we go back to, these are resident taxpayers, so that there needs to be give.
Yeah, but that's a lot of give. That's like putting a house back there.
Well, I don't see it that way, but
Well,
it's just me.
one of the things that sticks out the most to me is that there's already been a 40 to 50 foot expanse of or pushback from the original tree line to the current tree line, and one of the reasons why you're having difficulty with grading and now talking about how to hold it in place is because that was dug out. If I'm looking at the original, just from the original corner of the house, that silt sock line and 100-foot buffer, that was pretty close to where the original tree line was. You can see at the top of that hill where the stumps are left and where trees were already cut as this was, and where former stumps were. You can see the root systems that were there from trees before. So just as we get into describing need and I don't want to be difficult, but in terms of, I just want us to be clear on not recreating the narrative, call it what it was from the beginning, not what we're looking at right now, and now we're dealing with a hardship and so forth. I'm not saying this is irrelevant to how I would vote or whatever. It is what it is now, but I just want applicants, when they talk to this body, to be very clear and transparent about how things were, not what they are, because they played a role in having it transpire to what it is today.
Well, he did what we asked him to
I'm
do.
talking about even before.
Well, I understand
Yeah.
that, so that would have been the time to say, we're very sorry, the answer is no.
Yeah, but this is the first time I'm seeing the original.
that's from the septic design.
Right.
Right.
So,
That's where my numbers came from too, from the original one, so it's.
yeah.
Well, I think there are two things that are important here. Number one is that, yes, we did not have this original plan last time, but we had enough of a plan and we did a site visit so that we could have made our comments at the time.
That's correct.
And the comments that we made have been taken care of. And again, is it ideal? No, but it's better than it was.
Oh, no, I agree. Too bad, so sad for me, I won't say good on them for,
Right, but the second point that I want to make is that during the meeting 2 weeks ago, as a matter of record, it's in the minutes, I did ask the engineer to talk to the developer and have him factor in the fact that someone may need a pool moving forward, and to move the homes, the design of the homes and the placement of the homes, to take that into account so they don't have to come back to us and do things like this. So I think from that standpoint, we've made it clear that this is kind of a special occasion that we're doing, and that, we're not ready to make this our precedent. So, I understand, Dave, what you're saying. It's a lot of removal.
It's a lot of soil removal.
It's a lot of soil removal. They're going to do the New England grass. They're going to do the mats. We have to take faith that that's going to work. If it doesn't work, they're going to have a lot of mud in their pool, and I don't think they're going to want that. So at this point, for this particular project, I think that that they've come back with a plan that dotted all the i's and crossed all the t's on what we had asked them to do. And I'm hoping in the future that as they develop these other lots, that they take into account the fact that we're not going to be disgracious in the future.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, not to, make you feel like I'm taking you out to the woodshed, because, any comments I could have made, I lost that window. But I will say that the pattern that I've been seeing with all the development that's been happening in this neighborhood has caused me to heighten my radar and do maybe a little bit more than maybe I'm not going to get into the shoulda, woulda, coulda game, but the idea isn't to see what you can get away with. The idea is to follow our bylaws and to be respectful of that. And that's all I'll say on that.
I agree with you, and there are two other properties on this cul-de-sac that have had some things that did not follow our rules at the beginning, that we are watching and we have asked to get taken care of. So, but I agree that as they build more of these lots and build out more of these lots, that we as a commission should keep them under a microscope to make sure that everything that we ask to do is done. Okay? So,
Just so there's no loss in translation, I'm irritated, but it is what it
No,
is.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
and this
Moving on.
isn't news to you.
Yeah.
You were here a couple of months ago and we told you about it on something else, on the pool on the other side. And we mentioned the fact that there was garbage and stuff down in the ravine.
I do relay all your messages
I know.
to the developer.
Okay.
And make sure
Well-
he understands where you stand. And
All right. Well, you can relay them again and just tell them we're watching.
I will.
Okay.
What you can tell them is the next time we find this kind of the garbage and the trash and everything else, we'll just shut it down. So that he can come in here and he can sit on TV and he can tell everybody why he got shut down. It's not this gentleman's fault. He's not the site supervisor. He's the engineer.
Right.
So, he produces the plan, he gets paid to produce a plan, he gives the approvals to the builder, and the builder says, thanks, have a nice day. He goes and gets a cup of coffee, and he shouldn't be responsible for trash on the site.
No, I get that. That's
So-
why I'm being nice, Dan, and not Old Testament
So this is
Dan,
not,
you
this
know,
is
so-
no way directed at you at all,
I understand.
Okay. That being said, I will entertain a motion to grant the NOI. Or to close the hearing first, I guess.
Motion to close the hearing for
Second.
All right,
4
so-
Stanley Lane, NOI SE 126658. Well, is there any comment? This is continued, so it's still an open hearing.
Oh, sorry.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
thank you. Any comments from neighbors? Okay. Very good.
Just the
Second?
motion.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to close the hearing for 4 Stanley Lane, NOISE 126658. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Opposed. Okay, 4-1-0. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the NOI.
So moved. Motion to approve the NOI 4 Stanley Lane, SE 126658, as shown on the drawing, dated January 25th and revised February 27th, 2023.
I'll have a second.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the NOI for 4 Stanley Lane. We will get a sticker and put it on the drawing and get it signed. You got that? Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the NOI for SE 126658 at 4 Stanley Lane, based on the plans submitted today, with all appropriate conditions from the...
Right, the 3 signs
Yeah.
and,
Yep.
and
Well, that's on the
standard
drawing.
erosion control.
Right, you have
and-
nothing special
No,
for
it's
this?
a home lot, so it'll be standard.
Yeah,
Okay.
And that's on, the signs are on the drawing, so.
Yep, and all the work is outside of the 65-foot, so we do not need a variance on this.
Correct.
No, you do not.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Post.
All right, again, the vote is 4-1-0 on this. You're all set. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, This is, have you signed this? You signed this your signature on this?
Probably.
On the drawing?
No.
All right, before you go, would you have him sign the,
Sign anywhere.
you can, you don't have to.
That'll be a record copy and we'll put our sticker on.
Alan, what was the revised plan for February 27th?
February 27,
Yeah, you
2023.
dated today, 3/1. Thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you.
You have the copy he signed?
Yeah,
Okay, so we'll put the sticker on that.
yep. That's the plan.
All right, bud.
Okay, next up, new public hearings. 36 Bunnies Road. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw, that a public hearing will be held at 7:00 p.m. on Wednesday, March 1st, 2023, in Meeting Room 1 at the Carver Town Hall to hear the request for determination of applicability, an RDA, filed by Timothy Hughes to determine A, whether the work depicted on the reference plan is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act, and D, should be B, maybe? And whether the area and/or work depicted on the reference plans is subject to the jurisdiction of any municipal wetlands ordinance or bylaw of the town of Carver. The RDA is for repairing and expanding two existing decks, with the closest work located approximately 25 feet from the bordering vegetated wetlands. Property is located at 36 Bunnies Road, map 109, lot 11, Carver, Massachusetts. All interested parties are invited to attend. Hi, how are you?
We don't have a drawing.
Sign in, please, on the... Okay, well, wow, thank you.
We don't have a drawing other than this picture. We don't have a drawing.
It's this little packet.
Yeah, it's
So
on the back. There's
we
a
have
blueprint on the
nothing but
back.
this little picture here on the back.
Right, well, he came in about 2 months ago or so?
Middle of January.
Yeah, middle
Yeah,
of
the month,
January. And this is the packet he showed, and you guys said that it was okay that he could use this as a submission.
Yep.
Must have been out there. Okay,
You might have been.
I think I was.
Yep.
I never said that.
All right, well, nothing has changed since you were here the first time, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And we were here originally for a discussion, and we told you to come back for an RDA.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And the last page is
Yeah, the last page tells you what is being done,
the distance.
pretty much. They're expanding a deck that's away from the pond and, or making a bigger deck, a bigger entryway deck, and expanding the one that's facing the Fresh Meadow Pond by a little bit. And there's no roof. It's regular planking with
With gaps.
gaps in it that water can go through.
Oh, okay, you're bringing the deck out to the edge of the house, like 6
Yes.
feet.
Yep.
6
So
feet.
it's really gonna be one more cement column? That's it?
Yep.
Yeah, so very little land disturbance.
The rest of the thing sits on a ledge board?
Right.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Does anyone else have any comments on this? We've seen this before.
We've seen it before. The only thing I was going to say is, you know, even though it's proximity to the waterway, the way he's proposed to square off the deck, he's getting no closer to the water.
Correct.
So, and then the other area, again, is already disturbed with this mulch bed and bulkhead and so forth, so
Yes.
Right.
My recommendation would be a -3 determination when the time comes. And any disturbed areas, just that he, seals them up with some seed and any,
Right.
hay or anything to, for erosion control.
Okay.
Really not going to be much he's disturbing. He's gonna
No,
have a
but,
whole
in case he
horizontal.
does, decides to go cuckoo
Right.
on a Saturday.
Don't go cuckoo on Saturday. We'll put that in the order.
I didn't think we were gonna get
No
technical
cuckoo on a
tonight.
Saturday. This is as bad as the okey dokey. There's no
Right.
cuckoo on a Saturday. It's going to be on the first item on the order of conditions.
there'll be another set of T-shirts.
Yeah, put it on the back. Is there anybody from the neighborhood or anybody who has any, it's an open hearing, so, okay. All right.
Motion to close the
Seeing none.
hearing for 36 Bunnies Road.
All right, so moved and seconded to close the hearing on 36 Bunnies Road. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it's approved unanimously.
Motion to approve the RDA.
No, it's a negative
Sorry, the
determination.
negative, that's right.
-3,
That's
yep.
right. Here we go again, backwards government stuff.
Yep.
Motion to issue a negative determination for 36 Bunnies Road based on the plan drawn and dated by the permitting department, February
8th.
8th?
Yep.
Fine, looking 8th. February 8th, 2023.
Right. You want a negative determination.
Yeah, this is government stuff,
Okay.
a
Yeah.
plus is a minus.
If they say plus, it means you have to do an NOI.
Yes.
You have to go for the full permit.
Yes,
So
this is-
negative means,
Good.
This is where a no is a yes.
Listen, I'm 5 years on this board and I still screw that up. So.
All right, so we have a motion for a negative determination on the RDA. And a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded for a negative determination on the RDA for 36 Bunnies Road. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. We're approved 5-0 on that.
I'll let you know when I write it up, okay?
So you're all set?
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Actually, could we request, before you take off, could we just have him sign whatever copy?
Yeah, sure.
Just so we have that in the file, so it's got his signature on it. And then we all should sign that also, put a sticker on it.
Yep.
So that's technically the plan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you.
There's one back.
Why don't we put a sticker up, and we'll put a sticker on that.
You want to
too.
put a sticker on this?
Yeah, let's do that, because that's technically the plan,
Oh, it is.
There's the other one.
Okay, excuse me. Next up, 25 Walker Road. NOI-SC 126660. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Citation 9.2, that a public hearing will be held at 7:00 p.m. on Wednesday, March 1st, 2023, in Meeting Room 1 at the Carver Town Hall to hear the notice of intent submitted by Tracy Zena for the grading and construction associated with a residential septic system upgrade within the 100-foot buffer zone to a pond inland bank. The project work is also within the 65-foot buffer zone protected under the Carver bylaw and will require a variance from the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw. This project is located at 25 Walker Road, Carver, Massachusetts, map 14, lot E-0-R. All interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. For the record, James Garfield with Morse Engineering, here tonight representing the applicant for the notice of intent associated with the septic system repair at 25 Walker Road. To familiarize yourself with our plan, we've got our property lines shown here in bold. Walker Road is shown down at the bottom of the page. Cooper Pond shown at the top of the page. The edge of the pond is shown in blue, and then the 65-foot buffer and 100-foot wetland buffer are shown in red and green. So this site's currently serviced by a 1,500-gallon septic tank and 2 leaching pits. And what we're proposing is to reuse the existing 1,500-gallon tank and install a new leaching field consisting of ARC-36 leaching chambers. As you can see from the dimensional constraints of the site, there really are only two places that a new septic leaching field could be proposed, being in the front yard and the rear yard. And the reason that we did not propose the septic system in the front yard was due to the fact that the proximity to the potable well servicing this house would be too close. It'd be under 50 feet to that well if the septic was proposed in the front. So we're proposing the septic leaching field in the same location that the current leaching pits are located, and with our separation of 5 feet to the groundwater table and installation of this chamber system, we believe this will be a vast improvement to what's there currently. So with that, I will pass it back to the commission for any questions.
How far underground are the existing two things?
The existing leaching pits?
Yeah.
I don't know for sure, but I can say that typically those pits are about 6 feet in depth.
And how far does this chamber system go under?
So this chamber system is going to be 5 feet above the groundwater table. If I had to guess, I would say those leaching pits are currently in the groundwater table.
Okay.
The system will only be a foot below grade.
Okay.
Or so we're not going to build it up?
No, it'll actually match existing grade.
Okay. No, the reason I asked is that it says the existing septic components to be pumped, filled, and abandoned, so
The
they'll
leaching
be
pits.
underneath it.
Yeah, so the leaching pits will be pumped, crushed, and most likely removed in the location of the proposed system.
Okay. All right. Well, again, I mean, there's,
Well, we were out there today.
Yeah, we were all there today.
This is the textbook case of a hardship. These houses were put here, we had the same issues on Bates Pond a few years back.
Crystal
where,
Lake.
You know, exactly, that's right, I'm sorry, Crystal Lake,
Yeah.
that's right. Where the property line was literally 9 inches off the corner of the foundation. So the well was going to be the water would be lapping to the top of the well, and the septic was almost out in the street, and he still couldn't get what he needed to get, but, you know, yeah, this is a vast improvement over what you've got, and I see no other alternative. You're certainly not going to drive a well in the backyard and turn the plumbing around in the house in both directions and to put the septic system in the front yard. That's an unacceptable burden to ask a homeowner to do. And it's not something I would want to do, so I can't very well sit back and say, well, you know, you should do that. I think this is the best of the plan.
yeah, there's really not an alternative.
No, there isn't. So,
Plus, it's better for the pond too, because you're getting rid of that old system that's
That's
probably
right.
in the groundwater.
that's right.
probably
At
going
least you'll
directly
have
into
an
the pond,
opportunity to
I would
leach, that's
imagine.
right.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't have any problem with this design.
Any other comments?
This,
Dan?
No,
Curtis? Nothing? Okay, I'm good with this too. So I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Public comment.
Oh, public comment? Anyone? No?
Now we'll take a motion.
All right. Now I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Make a motion, we close the hearing for 25 Walker Road, NOI SE 126660.
We have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the hearing for 25 Walker Road, 126660. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none? 5-0.
I'll make a motion, we approve the NOI SE 126660 of 25 Walker Road in conformity with the plan revised 2923.
Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the NOI, SE 126660. Not close the hearing, sorry, to approve the NOI, 126660. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none?
And make a motion, we approve the variance for 25 Walker Road, NOI SE 126660, on the plan dated 2923 as the revision date, as shown in the drawing.
And with conditions set forth by the Conservation
Yeah,
Agency.
just the normal
Yeah.
stuff. He
Okay.
doesn't have to put wetland flags in his dining room.
Is that where they would be?
Well, maybe the
Okay.
kitchen.
You can put one on the dog. All right, I need a second?
Second.
All right, Curtis seconded. All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the variance for 25 Walker Road, NOI SC 126660. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we're approved 5-0. And you're all set, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Sign it.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Yeah, we just need you to sign a copy of the plans that go with our record.
Actually, the homeowner's here, maybe you could jot his
We'll put our
signature
sticker
on
on
it,
there with it anywhere.
too. The homeowner's here, he should sign it also.
You want to initial that, if you wouldn't mind? Great.
Is that. I'm gonna have him initial it too,
Oh, you want them to? Okay.
please, Gary.
Yeah, we might as well, since they're here.
Right there.
Sign your name.
Yep.
That's just gonna be the copy of record, that's all.
This way, 10 years from now, there's never a dispute over this wasn't the original plan. And we've had that come up, so.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck.
That's gonna be a long meeting tonight.
Okay. Next up, 0 Old Center Street. It's an ANRAD, SC 126659. I'll read this since it's new. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, MGL, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw, that a public hearing will be held at 7 o'clock on Wednesday, March 1st, 2023, in Meeting Room 1 at the Carver Town Hall to hear the abbreviated Notice of Resource Area Delineation, an ADRAD, submitted on behalf of JLK Realty and Development, LLC. The applicant is requesting under the ANRAD confirmation of isolated vegetated wetland on the property. The project is located at 0 Old Center Street, Carver, Massachusetts, map 70, lot 5. All interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening.
For the record, my name's Bob Rigo. I'm with Riverhawk Environmental. We're the engineering company representing the applicant. Basically, we're here tonight to get the delineation of the wetland resource areas approved. This property is located between Center Street and Old Center Street, and it's the location of a former cranberry bog that's now no longer operated. The wetland flags were hung by Brad Holmes of Environmental Consulting and Restoration, who I believe you met with on the site today
Yes.
to confirm the location of the flags. So it's an isolated wetland. It's not connected to anything, but it is jurisdictional under the Wetlands Protection Act and your bylaw. So there's the flags are as shown, and we're here tonight just to get those locations approved. And those, just for note too, those are survey crew located those on the ground and determine the property line for the property as well.
It's probably the easiest delineation anybody's ever seen.
It was pretty easy. I've watched that bog go from a bog to a forest over the last...
Yeah, it's grown in.
25,
it's just
30 years,
upland,
yeah.
and without a supply of water, it's returning to upland.
Yeah, there's a house on, I guess, the north end of it that, kind of a log cabin-y type house that had a nice view of the bog, and little by little the house disappeared as the
Big
trees got
trees,
higher. The only question that we had that came up today, and it really wasn't under our jurisdiction, it was more of a curiosity. We noticed that on your butter to the south is N-Star, where they have their high-tension wires.
Okay.
And we just wondered if they had any additional easement onto this property in question, or if their area of restriction ends at their property line. And it doesn't affect us, it just kind of,
Sure. I'm pretty sure, because it's not shown on this plan, they do not. Someone from my company performed the survey, but I don't believe if it's not shown, it's probably not any easements over the property.
Yeah, the reason that we think about that is that if there is some sort of an easement and then there's something going to be done on this property in the future, that could potentially move whatever's going to be here closer to the wetlands.
Correct.
So,
Yeah, I do not believe they have any easement.
okay.
Well, looking at this today, the comment was, we always look at this as to, okay, well, first of all, what's the reason for it? and then what's the potential use after this? So it looks like the only place you could try to build anything would be down in that bottom corner. And then we saw all the high-tension wires, so I was not sure if there was an easement through there. It doesn't affect this decision tonight, but, you know, we try to look at what might be
It would be
in the
for,
future.
for residential property, but I believe there might be some area along Old Center Street that's available for.
Yeah, you'd have to take some of that hill out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I have no issue with it. This is pretty easy.
Yeah, again, outside of this, I was just curious. I know that some older maps and surveys show that this was actually a waterway going into this. That got filled in at some point over history, and so
Yeah.
as it relates to the aquifer, I don't know if that's something that we note, take note of.
I don't think so,
For
because
future
it's been gone
projects.
so long and the bog's abandoned, so.
It's been over 10, 15 years since I've heard purportedly it was filled, so.
Right, and the only place it appeared was on the old maps,
That's
correct?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not new, Dan.
Probably on the old maps when it was a real bog.
Yeah. If I may
Yes.
also, sorry, just offer. So I guess the history of it is there was a channel which led across the street, and there are water rights to this property for the bog. That channel, they used to pump into that channel and then allow it to flow over to the site, but they lost so much flow because the soils were so sandy while it was flowing across that they would insert a flexible line, like pipe,
Yep.
in that to get water across to the bog. And when they stopped pumping the water over and filled that in, there's no longer a connection between the water
Okay.
body and the bog.
So that was a man-made sluiceway.
That was a sluice way
Yeah, okay.
back in the day to
Okay.
flood the bogs, but it could not be done without a pump, without picking the water up, lifting the water,
Okay.
and bringing it over.
So the best of your knowledge, it wasn't a natural water course then?
To the best of my knowledge, correct.
Okay, cool.
All right. Very good. Any other comments, questions? Anybody from the audience involved with this? Yes, sir.
I'm a neighbor of the area.
Uh, Yes, please.
Well,
Just sign your name and,
So I saw that it says isolated wetland.
could you give us your name, sir, and your, please?
Luis Molina, 22 Old Center.
Thank you.
Since it's designated an isolated wetland, does that give it a different set of protections than any other wetland?
No, but isolated just means that it's not part of a water flow, which we just talked
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
It's a standalone.
Because I don't go over there, I mean, I don't trespass, obviously, but clearly when it rains, like turtles cross the road to the other wetland, and crayfish come up on the street, so.
Right, all this hearing
To me, it's
tonight is for us to agree with the surveyor that what he marked as a wetlands is correct.
Yep.
All right, we have no other decisions being made at this time.
Right, there's no approvals being given other than we're given the
Right, we went out, all of us were out today at the site visit and basically agreed that yes.
right, we're
this-
codifying that it is in fact a
No, I
wetland.
understood that, I wasn't sure because I saw that it was designated isolated, so I wanted to ask, does that, come with a different set of protections?
It does not have a different real set of protections.
Thank you.
Because it's still a wetland bog.
Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you.
Okay.
Motion to close the hearing, 0 Old Center Street on the ANRAD SE 126659.
Second? All right. Curtis, second. Moved and seconded to close the hearing on SE 126659, Old Center Street. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Motion to approve the ANRAD.
Hold on a second.
I'm sorry.
Any opposed? Hearing none?
I
Approved
heard
5-0.
heard everybody say aye, so I was all
I
right.
didn't say aye, so you're lying.
No, that's not true. I never lie.
Okay.
I knew what you were thinking. Motion to approve the ANRAD for 0 Old Center Street, SE 126659, as drawn on the plan, dated February 7th, 2023, with no revisions.
Second? Second. Dave seconds. All right. It's been moved and seconded to approve the ANRAD as shown on the drawing of February 7th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none?
I didn't say aye.
I didn't know. I watched you. Aye. All right, it's approved 5-0.
Okay, I signed and stamped it, but that doesn't matter.
Okay, so let's go back to our minutes, and then we can wrap this up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thanks.
take care now.
Were we discussing this?
Oh. All right. Gary, you handed out this.
Yeah, that was that COC, the solar one.
Oh, okay,
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 that's what that was about.
very good.
We can go back and discuss it if
Do
you
you want
want.
to bring something up on it, or? Nope. No, okay.
I'm hoping that it actually works out well, because I think it's a good solution, and so I'll bring it up. So we go back a few years now when they first tried to test one of these on Purchase Street, and the numbers that came back were pretty encouraging, because they actually promoted aquatic life, because it gave the shallow ponds, the shallow reservoirs that in the hot sun typically get very hot, so
Cooled the water down.
whatever is in there that's trying to live is dying from the heat. So this actually gives some shelter. So I thought it was a great idea if it works. And the first company was from France. I don't know where this one's from.
I think they're local. Or at least they have a local office. But that does have some of the data in the bound one he has.
Yep,
If anybody wants to see the temperatures and,
that's pretty interesting.
yeah.
So they think they're doing it on other
They said
water bodies, right?
they'll probably let us know by this fall whether they want to proceed or do more testing or,
It doesn't look like it's too expensive either. I mean, it's just
No, it
plastic
doesn't.
forms. It's pretty impressive.
And
They
it's-
design them right, so when it freezes, some of them actually pop up out of the ice, so they don't crush the
Right.
floats.
Oh, cool.
that makes sense because they're plastics.
Yeah, so if they design them with a little bit of a V to them and they start to freeze, they'll raise up out of the water.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And some of them, I think that the ones that we saw when they first put them in, they had a little tiny pump
Yeah, they did.
that
Yeah.
pumped
Bring up
water
the
up to the
warmer water.
top
That's right, yeah.
to keep them clear of snow
Yeah.
in the winter.
They call those an
Yeah, they're
ice
pretty-
eater.
Mm,
'Cause They
okay.
bring up the warmer water from down below.
Yep. And it's very restricted as to where these can go. These can't go just anywhere. It's got to be,
So where are they putting them on?
it would have to be
They
reservoir.
put them on the ponds themselves. They don't put them out in the cranberry bogs. They put them on the reservoir
Reservoir.
ponds.
Right.
Right, but again,
Not the great ponds or anything like
No.
this.
No,
reservoirs
no,
and stuff.
just reservoirs.
That's good.
yeah, it's
Great.
it's restricted to reservoirs only, so
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to walk to my house over Sampson's Pond.
Yeah. You can make a nice swing area inside of them.
True, yeah, surrounded. Okay, so let's get back to our minutes. We have the minutes of February 1st. Has everybody read the minutes? Yep, okay. Okay, so do we have any comments, corrections on February 1st? If not, I'll take a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of February 1st.
Hold on.
Oh,
Did you have a question on 21 Crystal Lake Drive? You seem to have a parenthesis,
Spelling,
SP, question mark?
spelling on his name?
Yeah. I can check that with Gary from the law,
All right.
Okay.
unless you know how to spell McCollis.
I do not.
Darren McCollis from 21 Crystal Lake. Okay. I'll get the spelling from him,
So-
but they're already amended, so I'll note that they're amended.
Yeah, just make a note that, actually, we can put it in the motion that, she
Right.
can make the adjustment when she finds it.
Okay, so that's your move, that's your motion, right?
Sure, why not?
All right, second? Oh, you have a second. Been moved and second to approve the minutes of February 1st as amended with the correct spelling of the person's name at Crystal Lake Drive. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we're approved 5-0. The minutes of February 15th, there was one spelling error that I'm sure was spell check. making the mobile station a mobile station. And that appeared in a couple of locations.
That's been corrected.
And it's been corrected. I mentioned it to Ashley earlier. So, anyone have any other comments on this?
That's exactly what that probably was, too. You know.
Oh, I'm sure. All right.
Motion to approve.
With corrections.
With, yeah.
As correct.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of February 15th as corrected. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Approved 5-0. Anything else?
Just want to let you know I won't be here the next 2 meetings.
Why?
I'm working. I got a part-time job doing Utah.
In Utah.
Yeah.
All right. Very good.
Okay.
We'll try to keep things
Under
simple.
control? Yeah.
Under control.
Yeah.
Yes. Simple. All right.
Oh, excuse me.
Yes.
So we'll get into a little finance. We clarified today, actually yesterday, I'm sorry, the rollback taxes for this coming year absolutely will go into the Land Acquisition Trust Fund. They went into it last year, but there was some confusion. So we straightened stuff out yesterday, and there should be some considerable funding going in there. And it's probably something that, depending upon what happens in the future with rollback taxes, but it might not be a terrible idea to have the conservation consider maybe capping that fund. I'd hate to see it potentially get to, I don't know, go crazy, $1 million, and to what end? I mean, how much can you buy? Do you know what I mean? So I think there should be some consideration given. Saber and I talked about this when we had the meeting to offer the town $500,000 of that for a budget shortfall 3 years ago, when, you know, in case they needed it. And then there was some talk at that time about, you know, maybe establishing a minimum or establishing a maximum. And I'm not convinced that a $500,000 should be the maximum, but I'm certainly not in favor of letting the thing just run away with itself. Because I see a potential greater amount of rollback taxes, especially if we start doing 40Bs and we start doing whatever comes out of 61A gets a rollback tax. So it may not be this commission, it could be a commission 3 years from now. They could be sitting on, you know, an awful lot of money sitting in that account, and then the wrong commission or the wrong administration trying to find a way to get their hands on it. I'd much rather have it go to something different.
What is the process for, other than discussing like we are right now, in terms of figuring out what that calculus is?
That's it. This is it.
Okay, so one of the things, and I'm pretty consistent on this, I think, is how we can better, educate the public on conservation issues and things like that.
You can't use it for that.
No, I know that, but if we are transferring money out of that account because there's an established maximum, then the rules for use of those funds, I think, change.
Yes, and it would take an act of the legislature, by the way. This is a legislative act.
Mhm.
This is why we have complete control over this fund. The town can't take it, the town can't borrow it. It was very limited as to how we can use it. When we made the vote to offer it to the town in case they needed it, that had to become a governor's bill that had to then go before the legislature. And for whatever reason, outgoing administrators, incoming administrators, they got put at the bottom of the pile someplace and actually never went anywhere. But any changes to the wording in this document would have to be done by council, and then that has to be approved by us, and it would have to go to the governor's desk to have him submit it to the legislature to have them change it. So it's not a simple process. The beauty of it is that it locks it in so that, you know, it defines exactly what it is, and it gave us the ability to do what we did on Lakeview Street. The difficult part of that same process is it doesn't allow us to use that account to fix that house up. We could buy it, and we could survey it, and we could you know, do the title searches and do all the legal steps to it and pay the money for the house, but we couldn't change a light bulb. That, so, you know, maybe it'd be consideration to change the wording to allow use, so that if we were to buy a piece of property and then just, I don't know, pick one that's on one of the ponds, that's an abandoned, ramshackle, it's you know, it's on the edge of falling down, and we were to buy that, then it'd be nice if we could use that fund to also rehab it, and then maybe be able to use it, a veteran, or find some way to change the legislature to allow us to keep it conservation, but make use of it. I mean, how many houses can we own, you know what I mean, that we're not using, so.
Well, I think the first step in this would be to get the actual legislation and see what it says.
Yeah, we have a copy of it. It was given to us when we did that vote, so I have to go back and dig.
Okay. I have a little bit of reticence on capping it. Real estate properties values change all the time
I
here.
don't disagree.
And I would hate to be in a position where
We're not buying your house on the pond.
there's other property on other ponds and other important properties, and I would hate to be in a position where we can't buy something that would be great for this town because it costs more than we're capped at.
Okay.
And I just feel that, you know, you mentioned Lakeview Street. If we had been able to purchase both of those properties,
Oh, please.
you know, don't get me started, but anyway.
Yeah, I know.
That would have,
It would have been a home run.
it would have pretty much used up everything we had there.
No, yeah, and then literally 8 months later, another $80,000 in rollback got put back in.
Correct, but
That's how the account is up to where it is right now. We took $400,000 out of that account to buy Lakeview Street, and I believe there's $575,000 still sitting in it. So there's
Right.
been rollback taxes added to it. And there's gonna be more rollback taxes if the town doesn't exercise or attempt to exercise their right on the 6 acres down here on Main Street. That's coming out of 61A. That's the rollback taxes. That chunk's going right back in the land acquisition fund. So there's going to be a considerable amount of money being put in this account year after year after year as more and more and more of this 61A land comes out of 61A.
well, see, that's another reason why I feel that capping it
I'm just
is-
suggesting.
I know you are.
I think it should be $10 million. I'm happy with that.
But
I just don't want
as-
to see it get stolen.
As more, right, I
By
get
a
that too.
different- by a
I
different
get that
board.
too. But as more and more property comes out of 61A and the town has the right of first refusal to get that, there may be some properties that we feel are important to have for open space in the town. And it could be that two relatively large, expensive parcels come up at the same time.
You know what's an interesting concept is, would we be able to buy it if it came out of 61A? Could we exercise the right of refusal on behalf of the town? Or would that require a change in the legislature? Or would that require a change in the way it works? Because the town said, well, we're sorry, they got $1 million in their land acquisition trust fund. We can't afford to buy the property, but they certainly could.
I think the question would be is can we have the select board act on behalf of us in taking it? And then, you know, and then
I'm not sure, well, we still have to have the legislature approve us to take it out and give it back to the town.
No.
Well, could we buy it? Is that what you're saying?
I'm
After
saying
they
we
say
buying,
yes? I think that would be, that's.
we buying it
council
from the
stuff.
town, because we don't have the right of first refusal, the town does.
Right.
Could the town buy it and then we buy it from the town?
And the whole thing is a case of semantics anyway, because we technically don't own anything. It's,
Right, it's
Lakeview
all-
Street's still owned by the town.
Yes,
staff.
but yes,
It's
but
not owned by
it
the Conservation
follows our
Commission, you know?
guidelines.
So, but if you change if you went through the process of changing the legislation, couldn't you take a percentage out of the fund as maintenance instead of just capping it? You know what I mean? Like
The
say,
legislation would have to allow that.
right.
would
But
have to allow that
instead of
in.
capping it, just give like 10% or something, so we can then maintain the properties along with anything we buy. Because otherwise, it just sits there, like you said.
Well,
You know what I mean?
It's a shame to have $500,000 sitting in the account and looking at the condition of Lakeview
Right,
Street
you
and know
can't
that
do
we
anything-
can't,
do
we
anything.
can't take even $50,000 out of that account and do some work on that property to get to where we'd like to get to be able to use it. We can't, that would have to come out of the maintenance account or the town's gonna wanna kick in, or we gotta find some grant money, so you've got money to buy something with, but then you're tied in a corner as to what you can really do with what you just bought.
True, but I believe, and we'll have to look at the legislation more carefully, I believe that the legislation is geared towards purchasing land, and I do not think that any structure of any kind goes along with the fact that it's conservation land.
Okay, I don't disagree with that either.
I agree with what you're saying, but I don't think that the legislation is going to be able to change to fund something to do with a structure on conservation land. The whole point of conservation land, we're kind of bending the rules a little bit, trying to find a way to shoehorn the house on Lakeview Street into a conservation use.
So technically, you're supposed to buy the land probably without a house on it, then, or just...
Or if there was a house to
open
tear it
space.
down.
Tear it down, right.
Yeah, so,
But
I think...
technically, the money won't even allow you to do that.
No, I know, but I think that if we try to do that, we're getting into a little bit of a slippery slope. So I would think that, going the, I don't see us having many more properties with a structure on it.
I don't know.
I really don't, unless we get
But
the
we
barn
will be getting a
on
little
Wayne
more-
Street.
We will get a little more
I think
maintenance
the-
money from because the fees are going up, right?
Yes.
Right,
We'll get
Filing
more,
fees and
we'll
that
get
kind of
more
stuff.
money into the maintenance fund
right,
and,
so
you
we'll have a
know,
little more money in there.
some of the proposals for the house on Lakeview Street are certainly eligible for grants. And, I think that we look that way for that. And,
But this legislation was passed a long time ago, and no one ever anticipated this fund to get as big as it was, because at the time that it was passed, there was virtually nothing there was no such thing as solar, and there was nothing really coming out of 61A unless somebody was pulling out some area to create a warehouse or something like that, and they couldn't have that be in the 61A. So it never was intended, no one ever thought this account would ever do what it did. It was when solar came along that really made the big change.
And as the price of real estate goes up, it's going to make it more easy to go out of 61A, right?
And I'll tell you
Because the
what,
price is so high that people are going to they'll pay the back taxes, they don't
Well,
care.
if this dual-use solar thing ends up being nothing more than a fantasy on a piece of paper, and the jury's still out as far as I'm concerned, there's a lot of land on Rochester Road and Tremont Street that may very well have to come out of 61A, especially where now it's owned by a solar company. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but that could be a huge amount of money if that turns all commercial.
it could be, but on the other hand, I think that as land comes out of 61A, and if we can find a way where we are a player in purchasing it, that these are going to be larger parcels and therefore more expensive. So I think that to have as much money in that account as the law allows is a good thing. It allows us more flexibility to grab things that may be more important than what we would be able to do
And
if
things
there
are
was a
getting more
cap.
expensive, right? Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so, all right.
Okay.
But yeah, we could talk about it, think about it, talk about it. Well, you're in Utah.
After
Give it
town
some
meeting-
thought in
Yeah,
Utah.
yeah. We're
After
land
town
is
meeting,
$10 an
I'll
acre.
ask Bob to ask council and get us
Okay.
on this, so give something to do this summer. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. We're out. Thank you, Area 58.